Some say Liverpool is a city of culture. I say it's a city endangered. I'm back in my hometown to explain why. Liverpool, a UNESCO City of Music. A port with a rich maritime history, the home of 2 Premier League football teams and 4 universities. The birthplace of notable figures such as William Roscoe and former Prime Minister William Gladstone. Even New York's Central Park is based on one of Liverpool's green spaces. And of course, there's that little-known foursome, the Beatles. There's no denying that Liverpool, my home city, is an overachiever, largely thanks to Liverpudlians themselves. After all, what is a city but its people? Together, they've cultivated a small but mighty place that has the highest number of art galleries, museums, and listed buildings in the country, second only to London. But as I stand here today, the city is changing because the people are changing. In less than a decade, the population has been transformed through mass migration, creating some of the biggest demographic shifts in the UK. The evidence behind this is stark. In 2001, the white British population of Liverpool was nearly 97%. Now it is 77%. That's a 20% decline in just 20 years. If this continues, it'll soon follow London, Manchester and Birmingham as minority white. In 2021, migrants made up 130,000 of the city's 1 million inhabitants. Now, 5 years on, it's nearer 200,000, which is pushing 1 in 5. And it's not just the city centre that's affected. Every single local authority in Merseyside has seen an increase in migrants. The velocity of this change is so exceptional that it's officially faster than the national average, which is already fast. In fact, the Northwest now houses almost as many asylum seekers as the whole of London. Council chiefs in Liverpool call this, and I quote, progress. I call it potentially devastating. So how on earth did this happen? It certainly wasn't always this way. While dramatic changes have long been inflicted upon the capital, Liverpool always seemed immune from so-called cultural enrichment. A few decades ago, there was hardly any. Then, over the past few years, that seemed to change with an almost secret population explosion. Now, the city is somewhat unrecognisable. Part of this is because the Home Office designated Liverpool a dispersal area, aka a dumping ground for those who've broken into the country. As a result, most asylum seekers are sent here while their applications are processed. Sadly, the host population were never consulted or informed. City officials and council leaders would be quick at this point to point out that migration to Liverpool is nothing new. Back in the 19th century, it welcomed 1 million Irish people during the Great Famine. And while this is true, there's one key difference. Irish culture is not alien or incompatible with England. Today's immigrants are not Irish. Many of them are not even European. Huge numbers of them come from Africa and the Middle East. In fact, Liverpool's rate of immigration from these regions is 25% higher than the rest of the UK, which explains why the black population in Liverpool has increased by 154%.
South Africa, I hate your country.
There's also been a 69% increase of Muslims living in the city, once the Catholic capital of the UK. In 2001, there were 5,000 Muslims. Now, 30,000. If this trend continues, there'll be no need for either of Liverpool's famous cathedrals. After all, Islam is now the second biggest religion here, and Arabic the second most common language. And herein lies another problem. Many migrants have no desire to assimilate. According to the 2021 census, nearly 2,000 people in Liverpool could not speak English at all. A further 10,000 people couldn't speak it well. Half a decade later, those numbers will almost certainly have grown. Just ask the locals.
This is the first time in a good while I've came into the city centre for a good few months now. And I'll be honest with you, I've hardly heard one Scouse voice.
This sort of change is just one inevitable consequence of mass migration, much like increased demands on housing, hospitals, schools, and GPs. But there's also the impact on culture and social cohesion. Many people from Africa and the Middle East hold the sort of views that, if voiced by a white, working-class man, would land him in jail under Keir Starmer's Orwellian regime. Yet when they do it, it's deemed almost exotic. Unsurprisingly, this puts the weakest in society in a vulnerable position. For the gay community, it means a new imported hostility. Just when they've achieved societal acceptance, they now have to deal with a whole new group of imported people who oppose them. After all, the majority of Muslims want homosexuality to be illegal, and Africa is routinely condemned by Amnesty International for its attitudes to homosexuality. And of course, migration has also put women at heightened risk of rape and sexual assault. While doing research for this report, I uncovered some truly shocking data, which council bosses won't want you to know. The data shows that in 2015, there were 2,230 recorded cases of rape or sexual assault. By 2022, that figure almost doubled to nearly 5,000. This isn't because local men have suddenly become more predatory. It's because of who we've imported into the city. Some of these incidents are captured on smartphones and shared on social media. For example, these men were forced from a bus for inappropriate activity with a young girl.
This is just ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. Just go. It's women and children. Fuck off. Go away. Go away. Go away. Look at him. Oh! Get away. Get on the bus. Get off.
This man was allegedly caught filming children in a park.
I don't care if you mate here or not. You don't come and do that.
Okay, you can delete it yourself.
Go on
and say delete his ones as well.
I'll try to delete it.
Yeah, he's got taking videos and all kids.
You're a fucking disgrace.
However, the worst cases often happen in the shadows. There was the case of Saiku Kamara, who sexually assaulted a 16-year-old girl in the back of his taxi. He'd moved to Liverpool from West Africa just a few months earlier. Then there were these two delightful men, also from Africa, who raped a local woman in the city centre. They were convicted after footage of the attack was found on their phones. Failed asylum seeker Salih Mahmoudi from Iran was also jailed for rape. He was still allowed into Liverpool despite a long history of offending in his homeland. Ali Al-Dulami from Iraq sexually abused a child. He was convicted of rape and sexual activity with a minor. Moma Musari drugged and raped a lone woman at a bus stop. Originally from Nigeria, he already had a previous conviction for assault before moving to Liverpool. Likewise, Sanad Ahmed sexually assaulted two teenage girls in the newsagents where he worked. And in a similar case, Saidi Hussein raped a 17-year-old girl who was a customer in his shop. Most recently, this Welsh choir boy was jailed for more than 2 years after trying to kidnap a 19-year-old girl outside Liverpool Lime Street Station in broad daylight.
Okay, we've had a report that you've assaulted a young girl. Okay, and there have been witnesses, okay? So at this moment in time you're under arrest for a common assault, okay? You don't have to say anything, but it may harm your defence if you don't mention when questioned something which will later on in court. Anything you do say may be given evidence, okay?
Even the Bishop of Liverpool has resigned after Channel 4 broadcast sexual assault allegations against him. He denies the claim, but I think you get my point. The list goes on and on. In fact, over the past few months, Merseyside police have made a disproportionate amount of appeals for foreign men who are wanted in connection with sex crimes. Despite this, they refuse to acknowledge the connection to immigration. On the contrary, they seem to be almost suppressing this fact. When I first drew attention to the parallels between migrant men and sex crimes, Merseyside police almost completely stopped publishing appeals about foreign men. It's almost as if they're trying to hide an uncomfortable truth for the sake of the narrative. This is particularly astonishing when you realise that the head of Merseyside police is a woman who, like the rest of us, saw what happened in Cologne on New Year's Eve 2015, when 1,000 German women were sexually assaulted by migrants.
Salam alaikum. I'm speaking to you today because I want to reinforce my commitment to protect every member of our Merseyside community.
Sadly, the local media here are no better. BBC Radio Merseyside has said nothing about the correlation between migrants and sex crimes, while the Liverpool Echo newspaper has also failed to cover it, despite being edited by a feminist. This is odd, especially when national statistics already prove that foreign men are overrepresented in crime stats. Data from the Ministry of Justice shows that 23% of sexual offences, including rape, were accounted for by foreign nationals between 2021 and 23. If other news sources are able to report this, why can't those in Liverpool? Is it simply poor journalism? Or is their silence bought by the city's socialist leaders? After all, immigration is big business, especially for Liverpool City Council. In 2022, it received £8 million for asylum grants, £4 million for Syrian resettlement schemes, and £1 million to support Ukrainians. That's £13 million in just 1 year. Telling the truth about so-called enrichment could be costly. Then again, maybe the truth is something more innocent. Perhaps they've simply bought into the sort of suicidal empathy that was recently mocked in this parody article of The Atlantic. Or maybe they simply need deprogramming of their liberal self-loathing, the sort of which we see here from Washington University. Whatever the answer, the fact is that Liverpool's most vulnerable are at greater risk now than they were 10 years ago. And those in power have facilitated it, knowingly or otherwise. There are, of course, other security dangers that come with mass uncontrolled immigration, risks that affect everyone, risks that are perhaps particularly felt here in the Northwest. After all, the Southport terror attack happened here in Merseyside, as did the trial of Axel Rudakubana. There was also the case of the migrant from Baghdad who tried to detonate a bomb at Liverpool Women's Hospital in 2021. He'd previously been jailed for assault in the Middle East, yet was still allowed to move here. After the attack, the left-wing mayor of Liverpool, Steve Rotherham, issued a statement that said, "Diversity was our greatest strength." Meanwhile, just 50 miles away, the son of Libyan migrants killed 22 at the Manchester Arena bombing. My sister and niece were there. Luckily, they survived. This begs an important question. Just how long before there's another incident? At this point, it's almost inevitable. And clearly, the city council leaders know it. They've already spent thousands of pounds of taxpayer cash on hostile vehicle mitigation, aka diversity barriers. This is because they know it's only a matter of time before a car is driven into a crowd of people. This obviously doesn't mean that all migrants commit crime, but there is clearly a correlation. Despite this, the floodgates remain open, and the city I knew is becoming an island of strangers. When I look around and see the evidence of this, I mourn what is slowly being lost. But I also feel frustration at the locals, my fellow Liverpoolians, who appear almost indifferent to what's happening. These are the same people who did an incredible job fighting for justice over the Hillsborough cover-up. Yet they seem too scared to speak up on immigration for fear of being called racist. If this continues, what's the future for Liverpool? And if you have no connection to the city, why should you even care? Well, the answer to the former is undetermined. That fate rests in the hands of its people, although I would say that time is running out. As for the latter, everyone should care about what's happening regionally because these are the last remaining places that still have unique British character. The accents, the dialects, the local customs. These are the final connections to an England that is already lost in the big cities. And like anything endangered, they should be protected. Otherwise, once they're gone forever. And what follows will likely be much worse. Besides, it's not just Merseyside. What's happening here is also happening in Manchester, Leeds, Cardiff, Dublin, even in small towns and villages. Ultimately, the story of my home city is the story of yours, and ultimately, the country. So what needs to happen? Well, first we must raise awareness of what's actually happening. You can do your part by simply sharing this video. Secondly, and rather obviously, we must also stop importing thousands of men from savage lands. Not all cultures are equal, and many are incompatible with our way of life. Thirdly, we must also lean into the idea of remigration. This is nothing new and it's not controversial. 20 years ago, Labour were deporting tens of thousands of illegal immigrants every year. Even liberal Sweden has announced plans to deport migrants who failed to integrate. We should, and we can, do the same. Otherwise, the situation will only get worse until it becomes insurmountable. We have seen huge changes in the past 20 years. The next 20 are absolutely critical. Local legend says Liverpool will cease to exist if the iconic liver birds ever fly away. I remember hearing this as a boy and being captivated by the mythology of it all. The truth, however, is something different. That Liverpool will be lost when the people are gone. When Scousers have been replaced by those with no connection to its history, culture or personality. Then Liverpool will exist in name only, and in the past, which is itself a foreign country.